What began on September 23rd, 2001, that's unbelievable. It began right after 9/11. 12 days after 9/11, as we all know, Mo Lewis took out Drew Bledsoe, literally almost killed him on the sideline when Bledsoe tried to be too tough, which he often did, and Tom Brady entered the game. That's when it began. It ends today, St. Patrick's Day, 2007, what is this, 2020. 2020. March 17th, 2020, Tom Brady announces he is no longer with us. He's moving on from the New England Patriots. We've been telling you that for 2 months here. Mute has. I have. That Brady was moving on. To me, the plan, it was the plan all along. They granted him free agency. That meant Belichick wouldn't have to cut him. He wouldn't have to trade him. He could just move on seamlessly. Brady already issued his statement, wished everybody luck, thanked everybody, and said he's moving on. Belichick's moving on. Brady's playing for someone else. Mute.
Boom, boom, boom. And who would have thought that coronavirus could be swept under the rug so quickly?
Only Tom Brady could top the coronavirus, and
he's going to today.
And
this is going to be the big. This is going to be on CNBC today.
I'm furious that when that tweet went out, I was with you two assholes. That's a moment I'll never forget.
A worldwide epidemic.
Where were you in great moments? Yeah.
Where were you? And I'm with you two idiots.
Let the record show we're 6 feet apart. We got our Clorox wipes and our Lysol disinfectant, and we are
drinking water.
I just want my wife to hold me right now.
We are coughing into our elbows.
Trying not to click on links with Doug.
Here's the thing. It is big news. No questions. Huge news. It's the biggest news there is, except for the virus. There's nothing else going on.
This is going to be bigger in Massachusetts today, probably around the world.
But Mute, you knew this all along. I knew this all along. He was leaving. It shouldn't be a shock. I think it still is to people like Cullinane who just like they're childlike and they just worship the man. I like the guy. I talked to him every Monday for friggin' 19 years. He was always good to me. He was good to me on the air and off. I like him. He's the greatest player in NFL history. He's the greatest athlete in Boston history. But this was bound to happen. It was a clean break. He wants to play somewhere not for Bill Belichick. Belichick wants to move on knowing Brady's 43. He has maybe 1 year left. He was okay last year. He was decent. He wasn't great anymore. He's not an MVP anymore. Belichick sees this as his time to move on. And do you blame him?
No, you don't blame both sides in this matter. I think Brady probably wanted to see some moves that were going to happen, and that was his last chance of kind of holding on to the Patriots. And when those things weren't kind of materializing, I'm sure he knew something about that. That kind of made his decision a lot easier. But then you also feel that there's something that happened within the last couple years that really made him think that he wanted, and I think both sides wanted to go prove their worth without the other. And all good things come to an end, otherwise they would never end.
Right.
So this is the time for.
That's what they keep telling us about the virus. Fauci, this will end. Everyone says this will end.
This will end. And just don't be an idiot.
Brady said to us on the air, whatever it was, 5-6 years ago, that he'll quit when he sucks, and when I suck, I'll quit. And I think that is his mindset. He wants to play, loves to play, and he's going to play until he's no longer good enough to play. Now, he was good last year. Again, not great. Not Brady. He was 42. He had a few injuries. He didn't have great weapons around him. He was okay, middle-of-the-pack quarterback, as we've gone through already. His QB rating was 80, whatever. He was not great. He doesn't suck, though. He will suck at some point. And he'll probably be hurt the way Peyton Manning was, the way most guys are when they get to be in their 40s and they're playing the NFL. There are going to be injuries that add up, that take their toll, and Brady will no longer be good enough. Then he will walk away. Is that next year, the year after? Someone's going to, obviously he's got a deal somewhere. I still, like Tampa Bay.
Well, the what is it? Officially Wednesday is when the free agents are able to sign. Is that correct?
Yes.
I thought so.
He had an 88 rating last year. That's unbelievable for a guy, who a few years ago was leading the league with a 117 rating.
Right.
He had
obviously
slipped.
not his best year, and a lot of that can be attributed to many factors, not just the offensive line.
One's his age. Yeah. One's his age.
But the fact of the matter is that he's going somewhere. Now, I really wonder is if he doesn't get the right spot and opportunity, does he just walk away?
No, you know he has a spot. He has an opportunity. You don't think he's walking away without something in mind? He's had a spot in mind for months.
Well, that's a lock.
Months.
I mean, the Chargers and the Bucks both offered $30 million deals.
Right. So he's got one of those places. Again, we told you here at the Legacy Club where there are lots of connections to Tom Brady. Lots of, Gronk's a member. Julian Edelman's a member. Tom Brady Sr.'s been seen around here.
So it's Tampa
we told
Bay.
You it was Tampa Bay. Some people still like the Chargers.
The Chargers, the Raiders, the Dolphins.
Cowboys. I don't know about the Dolphins. You still like the Cowboys.
Why not?
You know what? It's going to happen.
You think about it
any minute now. But do you agree? I mean, let's be honest. We're watching the greatest player in NFL history walk away. I understand there's going to be a lot of Dave Cullinans out there who say, this is heartbreaking. But what did you think was going to happen, Dave? Do you think it was going to last
Did you
forever?
really think he was staying?
I didn't have the greatest feeling that he was staying. It's just strange. You go an entire career. It's 20 plus years of the same person. You just don't think they walk away and leave that. You just don't.
But why not?
And the culture and everything.
But here's the thing. You like Belichick, right? Belichick's a great coach.
I do. Yeah.
He's a very good GM. He's a great coach. This has been his philosophy since he's been here.
I get it.
And every time he makes a move, people say, "That's Bill." Trust Bill.
You think I'm going to sit here, though, and say, like, Tom Brady is Logan Mankins? Like, I give a shit. But Tom Brady is Tom Brady.
Nobody ever said there were exceptions to the rule. There weren't. Belichick doesn't say, here's my philosophy, except I'm, not going to treat whatever Tom Brady that way or Gronk that way. He has a rule. I mean, he has a philosophy, and it is you get rid of him a year sooner, not a year later. You don't get emotional.
There's absolutely an exception to the rule with Tom Brady.
So there is. So you want Bill Belichick to be Bill Belichick, except in this one instance.
Yes, absolutely. There's an exception to a rule to a guy who's won.
So what you're asking him to do is go with a 43-year-old quarterback that he doesn't think has much left. And he wants to rebuild. He wants to start with someone else. And you want him to stick with the guy just because you love him?
Well, but also Brady got this freedom in his contract when they renegotiated his last deal. So this isn't
why
Belichick didn't ask to do it.
Belichick agreed to it. Belichick agreed to it, Mute, and this is why. Belichick agreed to it because he could cut ties easily. And it's not even he can not even say it's his call. Belichick's going to when he talks about this, if he ever talks about it, he's going to say that was the player's decision.
Never in the press. Maybe if we, you get him on his boat somewhere, but he's not going to be talking about it.
So maybe he sits down with somebody at some point, NFL Network or Rich Eisen or someone, and says it was the player's decision. He won't even say
that's exactly what he's going to say.
He said the player decided to go.
And he's probably not even going to address him by name.
That's why he gave him free agency.
He's probably not even going to say his name.
Well, weren't there rumors about lowball offers last week? Like, what did there was some rumor about like 12 or 13 million a year, some bullshit like that.
I don't think it's necessarily the money. Money is definitely symbolic of how much you want somebody, but it's also the ability to win and being surrounded with the personnel to win. And Tom Brady was not happy with the personnel he was around with last year. He said it in training camp. It went unaddressed. They got Antonio Brown, which he liked. He went on a limb, let the crazy son of a bitch live in his house for how long? Then they just cut him without really consulting him on this. And I think that may have been the last straw. That he's like, you're not really committed to doing this. I've done all this, and you guys still don't want to listen to me, and you're not going to give me the best product. So I'm done.
They brought in Antonio Brown. They brought back Josh Gordon. They tried Demaryius Thomas. They wanted Gronk to come back. I know I'm not here to defend the team or the franchise, but they tried to put guys around him, and he they're not obviously their team is not all on the field right now, so they could have made an attempt to put people around him. They knew he was moving on. They knew that didn't matter anymore. They knew right now if they had made a trade yesterday for Stephon Diggs or DeAndre Hopkins, would it matter? I'm going to answer my own question. No, it would not. Brady has moved on. He was going to move on. So you can't say, look at this guy. They got a bunch of nobody, stumble bums. They didn't put people around him because he was moving on anyway. They could acquire Diggs and Hopkins and bring back Gronk. It didn't matter. He was moving on. He knows where he's going. We all agree with that, right?
Well, you don't put that post out unless you know where you're going. I mean,
Tom Curran says there will be no more announcements today. Tom E. Curran has said.
Oh, really?
He said, so Brady's going to steal the headlines from the virus for at least 2 days.
Thank God. Thank God.
Today, Brady is Trump.
Suck on that, Fauci.
You know that today, instead of that Italian guy out on his balcony singing a song, it's going to be Dave Cullinane out on his porch crying, weeping.
Jerry Thornton, the Jordan meme, the Michael Jordan meme of the Michael Jordan meme of Dave Cullinane just sitting out there bawling his eyes out, or like in the shower.
Jerry Thornton will get the whole neighborhood where he lives. They'll all start crying and weeping together.
Jerry Thornton's going to be outside the Squire in Hanover, drinking beers, crying in his beer. Throwing beer cans at cars as they try to pass that.
I swear to God, I believe this, Cullen, and I believe that most, it might be 51%. I'm going to say majority of Patriot fans are okay with this. They're okay with it because they've accepted this philosophy for 2 decades. This is what Bill Belichick does. Why would you expect, the greatest coach to change his approach now?
Do you really think Patriots fans expected this?
Yes.
There's no way Patriots fans expected this.
No way. Jerry, my phone is blowing up with 100%. Patriots fans, and all of them are in
fools.
the same. Okay.
Can I say they're fools for not listening to
us? What a great theme of today's show.
Yes.
Everybody's stupid.
Everybody's an idiot. The people,
people are fucking stupid. That's the general issue.
Good job, Neil. That is perfect. We'll get to the idiots who are on the beach at Clearwater or licking toilets or going to Kid Rock's bar. Those are idiots. And a whole different kind of idiot is the Patriots fan who thought this would go on forever. Dave Cullinane believes in fairy tales. He was going to play forever. Maybe. Hey, you never know. He might play till he's 50. He might be the oldest player ever.
I think
because Alex Guerrero rubs his body.
No, my point was basically...
It's evacuation day, man.
He's got 2 years left. That was my point. He's got 2 years left in his career. 12 AFC titles? 9 Super Bowls that he went to? Won 6 of them?
Yes.
I mean, we can't just suck it up for 2 years and give the guy the money that he wants.
Okay, he was great.
Change the entire landscape of the team.
Dave, he's not great anymore. He was great. He's 43 next year. It happens. You know what?
And at some point, you get sick of Bill Belichick giving you shit in the meeting rooms where you're saying like, how is our Super Bowl quarterback going to make this throw? He's got to be able to make this throw. And he's like, you know what? How about you surround him with some talent? And I'm sure, you talked about how hard he was coached at some point, with Brady and the way in which he looks things, and he's definitely a positive guy, and he's always trying to look on the bright side of things. And maybe at some point, whatever it may have been, there was a line that was crossed, and that final threshold, and he's just like, you know what, enough. My career has been great. I've done a lot. It's just time for me to move on, and it's nothing personal. It's just time to go somewhere different.
I agree. You saw the post. He loves everybody, thanks everybody, names RKK and Belichick and everybody. He loves the fans. He loves his teammates. He doesn't want to break your heart, Dave Cullinane, but he doesn't want to play here anymore. He thinks he has something left. He will go somewhere, with weapons around him, with a coach that he likes. We think it's down to 2 or 3 teams. I say Tampa Bay, the Chargers. You still say Dallas.
I'm staying with Dallas.
You know what?
Man.
If he goes to Dallas, that'll be bigger in China than the virus. It'll be bigger in Italy than the virus. It'll be the biggest story in our lifetimes.
It really
Tom
would
Brady
be.
playing for the Cowboys. But I want to go back to this thing where grown men are sad. You get the sads. Because you
can't say it's not a weird feeling.
Legitimately,
you can't say it's not a weird feeling.
He's legitimately upset.
He is the greatest professional athlete this city has ever seen.
I just said that. I agree.
And he's choosing to leave. And I agree with you.
Ted Williams is top. Bill Russell's probably second. Bill Russell's 80 now. Sad that he's not playing for the Celtics? Happens.
This is
it happens.
This is different.
Bird,
it's something that I'll have
Bobby
to deal
Orr.
with. It's going to take a little time. Yeah. Hopefully, it's only no more than 48 hours, and I'll move on.
And it does go to show you. It does go to show you. None of the great NFL quarterbacks, besides Dan Marino, I think, played their entire career with one team.
Wow.
Oh, John Elway.
Yeah, Elway, and he went out on top, won a Super Bowl, went out. But Johnny Unitas didn't, Joe Montana didn't, Peyton Manning didn't. Brady could have gone out, on top, 2 years ago and won a Super Bowl and walked away. He said it all along, and I don't think
play till I'm 45.
He want to play. He loves playing. He doesn't see any reason to quit. He would get annoyed in his way, he would get annoyed at people who wanted him to quit. He'd say, "Why does everyone want me to retire? I like this. I enjoy this." I had the last year when I was talking to him every Monday, we had this conversation, and I said, do you make a deal, with your wife and kids, essentially, that just give me one more year and then I'll be yours. Just let me do this. I love this. And he said, his response was, "Do you have a recording device in my house?" He said, "That's exactly the way this works." His wife knows, she says it all the time. She knows how much he loves football. She says he loves football more than he loves her. And I could see it. She can be kind of annoying with all the earthy, crunchy stuff and saving the rainforest.
I don't know. You've seen the beach pictures.
Yes.
But I don't think you get that annoyed, Jerry. Let's be honest.
No, I think he's – believe me, I've already said the style and what was the magazine called? Life and Style?
Life and Style, yep.
The supermarket tabloid who said they were getting divorced. I can't believe they've never steered me wrong before, and they were wrong. He's happily married. She's agreed to this. They're trying to sell their house. They've been trying to sell their house for 6 months.
Now, you
They've
put that
moved
in.
on.
His real estate agent has to be pissed. He's already lowered it, and then you make this announcement on Instagram. It's going to be really hard to get the price you want when you're making announcements like this. Come on, be better.
Here's what you got to accept too, Dave. He was 19th in QB rating in the NFL last year with an 88 rating.
That makes him below average.
Tied with Jacoby Brissett, trailing Gardner Minshew, Case Keenum. He was.
That's fine. Doesn't change the fact that if he had weapons around him, he's getting to the AFC Championship game next year. And the fact of the matter is, the Patriots were not willing to give him what he wanted. That's it.
How many times has he won without weapons? With quote unquote without weapons, with Dante Stallworth and whoever.
The last time was really kind of 2006, right?
He had Edelman, he had James White, he had
because after that even
guys.
They won. Like when they had the murderer and Gronkowski, those were weapons. Unlike most NFL teams had.
Last year, he had his lowest passer rating and completion percentage since 2013. He threw his fewest touchdown passes since 2006, 24 touchdowns. He had his lowest yards per attempt since 2002. He did not have a good year. He won. He got him to the playoffs, and then lost the first playoff game. Obviously, lost to Tennessee, who, by the way, didn't really have any interest in him. They chose Ryan Tannehill.
They gave Ryan Tannehill 62 sticks guaranteed. 62 sticks
but
guaranteed.
Here's what you got to accept, and I guess the the little kid in me has been knocked out of me for
change is good
years ago. But you got to accept the fact that he's not great anymore, Dave, and Jerry Thornton and everyone else out there. There's someone better in Belichick's mind, better, cheaper, younger.
Well, I think that. In Belichick's mind, he needs to get more from that position in his eyes from what he got last year. Mm-hmm. And I think in Tom Brady's position, he's also come to the realization that he needs more around him to be successful.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think he really understands that. Like before, in 2006, he could win with inferior talent because he was going to. I think you trust me. Your mortality when you got 2 years left, you realize that you need more than what you can provide. Even when they, when they beat the Chiefs, when they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, it wasn't because of Brady per se in the playoffs. That Chiefs game, they ran the ball very successfully. He was great at the end of the game, but he had other things that were factoring in on that, and Gronkowski and Edelman were huge factors in that. But again, and I think he was coming to that realization.
He made his decision a long time ago. You're wrong. It wasn't about looking around and saying, I don't want to have to throw to whoever. Who are their wideouts right now? I can't even remember.
That guy and that Edelman. Guy, yeah. Edelman, Jacoby Myers, Dorsett, who is a free agent,
who's probably walking away.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Obviously, Matt Lacoste. I don't even know if the tight end, what they're going to have for tight ends.
You can't. But don't say his name.
I think he made this decision a long time ago, and it didn't matter what they did. Right now, as the season opens up, the free agent season opens up, is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what they do in the draft. He made his decision a long time ago. He wants to play somewhere else for someone else. Maybe he wants to get away from Belichick. Maybe he wants a fresh start. Maybe he wants a team that has a good chance of winning. Winning. I don't know about winning the Super Bowl because it doesn't appear to me if any of the teams left on his list are going to win the Super Bowl. Are going to go to the Super Bowl unless he pulls off a miracle. You think he's taking a 7-9 Tampa Bay Bucks team to the Super Bowl next year?
Well, if he doesn't throw 30 interceptions, it's got to be better than what it was the last
Chargers,
year, right?
Maybe the Cowboys, but the Chargers or the Bucks?
I have a hard time accepting the Chargers because the Chargers moved on from an older quarterback as well, and I think that they're in a different phase. The Raiders could probably still be in play. Tampa Bay
so
probably.
What's Mariota going to be the third string and Derek Carr the fourth string? I mean, how's that going to work?
Yeah, maybe.
They just cut him?
Yeah, maybe.
Here's your odds from Bet Online on who will be the quarterback for the New England Patriots next year. Okay. The favorite is Jarrett Stidham.
Yep.
Obviously,
he's the guy on the roster.
He's on the team. Teddy Bridgewater, the guy I've been telling you for months, is number 2. Andy Dalton, number 3. Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Foles, Phillip Rivers, Jameis Winston. That's your list of. I mean, Jameis Winston's plus 2,000.
Wait, how? I would take Jameis Winston over a bunch of those guys.
You would?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would definitely not. I would
picks.
take number 1 choice is Bridgewater, and number 2 I would say is Winston or Stidham.
A lot of people think Dalton will come in here and just do what he's told.
Stink. Do what you're told to do and stink. Because if he stunk for the Bengals, he's going to stink even more for the. He's not good.
It's going to be wild around here. There's going to be two games, 2 teams every week. It's going to be the Patriots and the team Brady's playing for.
You're going unparalleled waters now, man. This shit's real.
Well, I am happy because there is a local company that probably just lost millions of dollars because Tom Brady will no longer be joining them week in and week out.
That's true.
That's just me.
And Brady, I have to say, I've talked to him every week for whatever it was, 18, and he couldn't have been better to deal with. He couldn't have been nicer. He wasn't faking it. We talked to him off the air a few times. I mean, the last gasp with when I was on the air with Minahan and me was when Alex Reamer, our friend Ream team, screwed up and said something stupid about his daughter. Bad move. He knows. He apologized. Brady could have ruined his life. He could have said he should be fired, and he would have been. And Brady spared his life and said, no big deal, tell him not to worry about it. That's the last thing he said to me off the air before he sent me, an email after they fired me saying what a stupid move that was. But I'll save the email for another day. He is a good guy.
It's kind of a great. When are you going to do it when he signs?
Yeah, when he signs. We know when we need it.
When the end is there.
Yes. Here's the thing, though. He played for 20 years here. There's never been a teammate. I think this is the best tribute you can say to the guy, other than, he was nice to me, is there's never been a teammate who's badmouthed him. Literally.
Right.
Yeah.
When do you ever see that? I mean, even like Peyton Manning would be his contemporary. He was a great player.
Yeah. You'd hear that he was hard on guys, but
you heard the liquored up kicker was ripping Peyton Manning. There's always somebody. Vanderjack. There's nobody. You're right. He's hard on guys. He'd yell at guys, yell at Gronk. But nobody says, he's a dink. He only cares about himself. None of it. You never hear that.
Well, I mean, the guy let Antonio Brown live with him in his house.
Imagine that.
Live with him.
By the way, didn't he just like something on it, or he sent something?
He
to
just
Antonio
does the
Brown?
little
Yeah,
heart.
I'm not saying it's a big deal, but he's still communicating with the guy.
I know, but he let him live in his house.
I know.
In his house with his family. That's a big deal.
And he was good. He was good to us on sports radio, but you know what he was bad for in a way is sports radio, because he ended all the arguments. The biggest argument we used to have in sports radio in general, and I'm talking like around the country, was who's the best quarterback. And it was Joe Montana, and it was Peyton Manning, and it was Tom Brady. And that argument went on.
Well, the Manning thing lasted for a long time.
Yes, it did. And then the Montana thing, because he won 4 Super Bowls. Well, when you win 6, you kind of end that because there's nothing else.
Oh, no, people still talk because Montana didn't lose.
That doesn't matter.
I agree with that, but I'm just telling you.
The argument ended a long time ago because he had Peyton-like numbers and Montana-like victories in the Super Bowls. And he won MVPs, and he set records, and he threw 50 touchdown passes, and he did all the gaudy Manning things, and he just kept winning and winning. I mean, you go to 9 Super Bowls. Is that what it is? 9 Super Bowls, 6 wins.
Yep.
That may never be topped, in our lifetimes. It's just so hard. 9 Super Bowls.
Did he ever not win the AFC East?
That's almost, he didn't win it. Oh, well, they didn't win it when he got hurt.
In 2002, he didn't win it.
They didn't win it in 2008.
We can't count 2008 because he didn't play. So in 2002, they didn't make the playoffs.
All right.
I mean, it's a remarkable, page on Pro Football Reference. He's I mean,
I feel bad for all the people that bought Patriots futures to win the Super Bowl.
And literally, I mean,
that number's going to go down.
And the best thing, and he probably took the most pride in it, was just showing up, man. He got hurt in 08, obviously blew out his ACL. But other than that, I mean, he didn't miss games. He didn't miss snaps. He just wouldn't let his backup on the field. He was remarkably durable when you think about it. And, you know,
the last time he missed games was just because of the suspension.
He made a lot of assistant coaches a lot of money. You know, Charlie Weiss. And
the best ability
Mangini,
is availability.
And Mangini and Josh McDaniels and Billy O'Brien.
Charlie, yeah.
All these guys made a fortune. I mean, Charlie Weiss lives in a big mansion in Florida now and just loving life because he got a couple of big deals because he rode the Brady wave for years.
Yeah, he had a good agent that got him paid a bunch of stuff on a bunch of other college deals where he was making money in perpetuity pretty much.
And if you're Josh McDaniels, you're kicking yourself saying, I should have gone to the Colts when I had the chance.
Right. Should have gone to the Colts, should have gone to the Browns.
How in demand is the offensive coordinator going to be next year if Jarrett Stidham goes 7-9? Or if Teddy Bridgewater goes 8-8? Are they still going to say, you know, McDaniels is the next hot guy?
I mean, what happens if the Patriots go 7-9? Does everyone start asking for Bill Belichick's head?
No, they don't. I think Belichick has bought himself years of goodwill, years. And I think here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Things work out for Bill Belichick. I mean, things work out. When he lets players go, they generally suck. Go ahead, name the players he's given up on who went on to thrive elsewhere.
Chandler Jones.
You can look at the salary cap hit.
I'm not wrong in that one, by the way.
Well,
Chandler Jones is right, and then I can name 700 that were wrong.
Right.
So
it used to be Greg. What's his name? Went to Tampa. Greg.
Exactly.
That guy went to Tampa and had a decent year or something.
Good job,
For the
Greg.
most part, Belichick is always right.
Seymour did all right for a year or two.
Yeah.
You know, when he got traded, but it's more along the lines of the other guys. So Jamie Collins is a perfect example. Does well, goes signs a big deal with the Browns, gets cut, comes back, signs a big deal with Detroit.
But Brady's going to go elsewhere, and you know what he's going to do? He's going to get old. It might not be, the first month, but you know how it is in football. It's a grind. It's one thing to get through September, but to get through December healthy is hard. He's going to get banged up. He's going to get hurt. He's going to get old. And Belichick is going to look like a genius again. That's my prediction.
Are we going to hear from Bob Kraft today?
Probably not. Why? What
Probably
do you think?
not. You're definitely not going to hear from Bill Belichick.
See, this is how it's supposed to work. Kraft can say, I love him. I miss him. I wish he wouldn't
deserves the
leave.
right to do this.
I wish he wouldn't leave, but I'm not going to meddle. It's not my job. This is Bill Belichick's job. And Bill Belichick will say nothing to anyone for months, right? When does Bill Belichick have to talk the draft?
Yeah, he's
And you know what he's going to say? Two things. He's going to say, I already talked about that, even though he hasn't.
Right.
And he's going to say the player chose to leave.
He's going to say he's no longer on the team.
Right.
Can't talk about players on another team.
He's on another team now.
Which is, for once you kind of just wish that he would actually speak and just speak his mind on one of these issues, because he's obviously one that you want to call it the war, because he's the one that's staying. But you just wish that I would hope that he would give a glowing just goodbye and then not address it after that. You know what I mean?
And you're going to
think he'll do it? Where he just
yes.
says, I appreciate everything Tom's done. He's been a great quarterback. He's won a lot of Super Bowls. I wish him the best of luck. We're moving on.
Again, people think, I think there are some times where Brady's the exception to the rule. And in this case, I would say, yes, he should break with tradition and talk about the player. I mean, this is the greatest player ever. Bill Belichick, like all those other coaches, has made a fortune because of Tom Brady. You could think Belichick's the greatest coach ever. He's not here for 20 years without Tom Brady. He's long gone. If he goes from Bledsoe to somebody else, he's not here for 20 years. It's just not how it works.
I don't disagree
Brady
with
has
that.
made everybody a fortune. He's made everybody the exception to the rule in this place. I mean, Kraft's not the greatest owner. Belichick's not the greatest coach without Tom Brady.
And the amount of money in which all of them have made is just together
astounding.
Yeah, and they have to admit that not one specific person is entirely responsible. The three of them together are definitely a factor in it. To be able to put egos aside for 20 years in professional sports is unprecedented. Think about all the great teams that have fallen apart because of egos and money and everything, and getting involved in it. I mean, you can name a bazillion of these teams that were supposed to be dynasties that never made it.
Off the field, as we used to talk to Brady about this, he doesn't have dinner with Bill Belichick. He doesn't play golf with Bill Belichick. They're not friends.
Right. But he was coachable, too. Like, he would take hard coaching.
They worked together better than any duo ever. It's the greatest coach-player duo in sports history.
Yeah.
And yet, they didn't see eye to eye a lot. They did what they had to do to accomplish the goal, which is winning Super Bowls, and they did it better than anyone ever. But Belichick will move on in classic Belichick fashion. The player's gone. I'm not talking about him.
He probably already has.
Yeah, he will. Right. And
to be honest.
And he has a guy. That list we gave you, he has a guy. Someone else I think Stidham's the backup. I think a rookie's going to be here, and I think one of these veterans is the starter.
Right.
Next year.
I'd put Bridgewater at the top of the list.
Yes.
He's just at least the guy that's shown the most capability. He's a first-round draft pick, so he's got some pedigree.
So
does Winston. I just don't think like Carr and Dalton are the answers.
Winston doesn't seem smart enough to me. He's crazy. I mean,
well, he got LASIK surgery. That was a big factor.
But Teddy Bridgewater's smarter.
See.
He's smarter. Winston is the dummy that shoplifted crab legs and does the thing eating his fingers and what did he do to the Uber driver?
Yeah, that's a bad.
I mean, that's not the things you want out of your quarterback.
The whole licking fingers. No one's going to want that coronavirus.
How much is Bridgewater? How much are you going to have to pay Bridgewater? Wasn't there rumors yesterday of him going to the Bears?
Yes, when the Bears are ready to move on from Trubisky, huh?
Yeah, that's what the sound of it is, and
I don't blame him.
Why? Because he's done such great things for them, and pretty much they get Khalil Mack, and they have no competent offense.
Runner, but he's
not going to do it. So that's probably, I'm sure, the factor in the Patriots knew that this was in the works, and they're probably going to put some money on the table for Bridgewater. It's got to be a 2 to 3 year deal of some sort, you would think. That seems to be the best one.
Jerry Thornton's the head of Thornton Nation, head of the fans, the Barstool guy, our friend Thornton. I'll be interested to see how he reacts to this. I guess you just move on, right, Cullen?
Right.
You just move on.
It is what it is. Like you said, I think it's beneficial to both sides. It's just a shock. So.
It's a shock. Why? I don't understand. A shock. I've been telling you. You've been sitting there for 2 months, and I've been telling you he's gone.
Besides the year he was injured, I've watched the same person every Sunday play quarterback for the New England Patriots for 20
but you knew
years.
But you knew he was moving on.
I knew he was moving on, but then it finally happened, and you kind of just hold out that there's a possibility that he's going to stay here. It seemed like it was the best option, especially as places like the Titans kind of fall off and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just a shock to me right now, but whatever. We'll bounce back. Hey, it's good for sports radio right now. It's good for us.
I mean, but you're going to have a new QB, and you know Belichick. You're going to be sold. And I don't know if you'll think he's going to win it all, but you're going to say...
I'm going to be entertained by the process.
You're going to say that's a good idea. That's a good plan. Whether it's Bridgewater or one of these other guys, even if it's Winston, you're going to say Belichick and McDaniels will coach him up. Mm-hmm. Brady was 19th in QB rating. Brady had his worst statistical season in like 16 years. Brady's going to go somewhere else, and I'm telling you, he's not going to thrive. He's too old. I don't care if he's eating right. I don't care if Guerrero's rubbing every body part.
Father Time's undefeated.
He's
such a terrible cliche, but
do you think
so
Mutrin
true.
could play quarterback right now? Of course not.
Oh man, no! I can't even jump on the trampoline for an extended period of time.
He's got a gray beard. I mean, literally, you're washed up. Brady is not far from being washed up, and it's one thing if he were, a pitcher or something every fifth day, but every time you play, you get hit. Would you agree? Even if you don't get drilled, sacked 6 times, you get hit, banged around.
And you have to get up off the ground, which is difficult to do.
And then the next day, you got to get up and you got to recover. Recovering is hard when you're 43.
That tends to be the issue. It's not the once the adrenaline wears off. It's the days and the amount of time it takes to get up and back ready to go.
I'm going to predict now. I think I've been right about this so far. I'm going to predict it's going to end badly. Hell, his father predicted it. His father said it would end badly here. It's going to end badly somewhere else. I don't know if it ended badly here. It ended contentiously, probably behind closed doors. We're never going to know. But it will end the way it always ends.
I think it's
the guys
down
that don't walk away and the healthy like Elway.
Right.
Guys who want to play until someone kicks them out the door. It's going to end ugly.
I think it's down. Thinks it's down to two teams, and probably one of them has been one that's been in the market for a while. And I think there's definitely a surprise
let the
team.
record show that Mutrin's reading his phone right now, reading his message.
I don't see a text message though.
I think there's probably a couple teams, and maybe I think there's going to be there's always a surprise team. I bet he's in his mind he's got it down to two, because you make this announcement when you're close to the end. You know what I mean? You don't make the announcement that you're leaving when you're still hoping to get offers from 5 to 6 teams. You know what I mean? You've already gone to due diligence. Like the majority of these NFL free agent stuff is, if you follow it, is these things are done. Like they'll get to the market and then they go. So I imagine they've talked. It's down to 2 teams. They're figuring out the details right now, and it'll be announced. It'll be announced by one of the teams, I'd say, later today.
I said that over the weekend, and people said it's down to 2 teams, Tampa and New England. I said there's no way. There's not another team.
It's 2 teams.
There's not, right, which means there were more than 2 over the weekend. And there's always a mystery team, a surprise team. I don't know if it's the Raiders, the Rams, the Cowboys.
Raiders aren't a surprise team. They've been talked about from the beginning. So is the Chargers.
But over the weekend, they said many people said it's down to 2 teams. Many of these beat guys down to 2 teams, and I said no, it isn't. There's more teams out there. It still may be Tampa Bay, which you've heard about a lot, but there's no way that was just down to 2 teams. No way it was just the Patriots and
maybe it is Chicago. Maybe Chicago's one. Why not?
I mean, somebody made the case. One of these Darlington guys said it was the best fit.
Because they haven't really been discussed. I'm trying to think of one that's outside of the box that people aren't
I would say the Dolphins is to be outside of the box. That was from Mike Lynch yesterday, that the Dolphins were talking to him.
But the Dolphins were kind of from the beginning. Wow.
Yeah. You don't think that'd be wild? The Dolphins and Brady against Belichick twice a year for the next couple of years. Brady coming back to New England in a Dolphins uniform. That would be so wild. See, I think if you like theater, if you like drama, if you like chaos, if you like craziness, how can you not be excited about this? Brady back in New England with the same team and the same uniform and the same weapons is the same old thing. Brady's going somewhere else. If you're, if you're into this kind of thing, how can you not be excited? You're going to have a new QB. He's going to be younger. He might even be better. Not better than Brady in his prime. He might be better than Brady at 43. If you're a Patriot fan, how can you be such a knucklehead to think this is heartbreaking?
Yeah, you get emotional. We're emotional with our sports teams, right?
If
he's going to need, we can't give him mouth to mouth because
give him a hug. Just don't.
We can't social distancing.
I just saw a tweet. Somebody just said, "Please cough on me."
Oh, God. I mean, he can't get hugged if he starts going into like asthmatic shock. We can't help him because then we're gonna, could potentially infect this. There's a lot of shit going on here that we just can't really get our hands around.
He will decide. I mean, if Tom Curran's correct, he'll steal this day. This is a big day. He's leaving. March 17th, evacuation day. Brady is out of here. And you know what? He's never coming back. He's not going to settle down here. No. Selling his house, moving on. He'll come back and get that red jacket you get when you're in the Patriot Hall of Fame. He'll come back
and he'll fly out by the end of the game.
Right.
He won't even see the end of the game.
Right.
He'll be in his PJ back to wherever he wants to go.
Right. And there'll be someone else in the fold. But tomorrow, that's my prediction. Tomorrow, or maybe tonight, the team breaks it.
Midnight is when the deals can be official.
Really official.
Right?
So
I thought it was Wednesday. Wednesday at midnight.
And then Brady holding up a new uniform, a number 12 in a Tampa Bay uniform, or Dallas, which you'd have to get a different number if he goes to Dallas.
No,
that's Roger Staubach.
I think Roger will be all right.
That's the great Roger Staubach. You can't give that number to someone else.
Just a number, Jerry. It's just a number.
It's important. Brady was number 10 in college. Give him number 10.
But what's important? It's just a number.
So it's retired. I hated that when they gave Peyton Manning, some guy was in Denver, they retired 18 for some guy.
Right.
And they gave it to Manning anyway. Either it's retired or it isn't.
Because you don't even know that guy.
Right.
Who is 18? Who is the guy? Was it Craig Morton? Who was it?
No, they made him say that he was okay with it, but they had to pay him off or something. The guy was not happy. But anyway.
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's gonna come out, and I'd be surprised if it's you're going to get that one team that comes out of nowhere. But if it is Dallas, Jerry, if it is Dallas, let's just say
come back tomorrow.
I'll come back tomorrow. But if it is Dallas,
let me do Shea, and you keep reading those texts because I know you're getting your
do
phones.
DiStefano actually.
I'll do DiStefano right now, here and now.
Here and now.
All right, let me do DiStefano, and then we're going to get the latest from mute sources because he's busy reading his phone over there. But I'm going to talk about the DiStefano Hair Restoration Center. I know what you're thinking, guys. You're looking in the mirror, you're in the car, you're driving. Hell, you're bitching about it all the time. Your hair's falling out, you're getting old, you're going bald. It's depressing. But you know what? You can do something about it. I can tell you firsthand, you can do something about it. I did something about it. I had the receding hairline. You might have the fried egg on top. Either way, they can do something about it at the DiStefano Hair Restoration Center. Here's what you got to do. It couldn't be simpler. You log on to transplantdoc.com. That's right, transplantdoc.com. You learn all about the great team at the DiStefano Hair Restoration Center. Do not wait. Do not overanalyze this, guys. You want to get your confidence back. You want to get your hair back. This is what you can do. This is what it's all about. You'll feel better. You'll look better. It'll be worth it. Trust me. You'll look back like I do a couple of years later and say, why did I wait? The only thing you got to lose is more hair. Call the DiStefano Hair Restoration Center today or log on to transplantdoc.com. That's transplantdoc.com. You know you're in the right place when you see my face and you see my hair, and God, you're going to be amazed how good it looks. Just call them at 1-800-460-HAIR. That's 1-800-460-HAIR, or log on to transplantdoc.com.
Maybe Indianapolis. What do you think of Indianapolis?
That was the rumor about Rivers. He could
be Rivers. They want to win now. They just made a huge deal. They lost their first round pick.
Brissett seems like a class act who would say, you know what, I could wait a year.
Well, they gave him a lot of money up front. Well, they paid him well, more than he probably would have gotten. That might work.
So your mystery team is Indianapolis.
I'm just thinking that one of the teams that hasn't really been announced, and Indy could be one. Chicago could be one. I mean, if Chicago's in the market for Bridgewater, why? And they still believe in Trubisky long term. Why wouldn't you put Tom?
Why did so many people? Here's what I want to know. Why did so many people?
Play in Chicago.
I know
it's cold outside.
I knew you have. He likes cold. He wins in the cold. He likes to prove his manhood. Brady likes the bad weather.
I hear you, but it's still cold.
You know,
as you get older, the cold kind of bothers you more.
True, it does. There's no question about that. And that's why Tampa Bay makes sense. But anyway, why did so many people for the last 2 months, we've been doing this for almost 2 months and talking about Brady a lot. And you've been predicting he was going to, I've been telling you Tampa Bay, I've been saying flat out, he's going, he's leaving. Why did so many people think he was staying?
Because they didn't want to believe it could happen. Davis basically said what every New England fan says, that they'll never going to leave. Why would you ever go? He's going to say this.
It's not rational. I'm not saying it's rational.
It's totally irrational.
It's anchoring.
Because he was granted free agency. Why do you think they did that? Why do you think he wanted to be a free agent? Why? Because he wanted to see what's out there and then come back? You knew the Patriots were not going to get silly. Somebody is going to. You're going to see tomorrow that a 43-year-old guy is going to get a 3-year deal, and you're going to go, what sense does that make? Yep. It'll be huge for that market, for that franchise, for that coach. It's going to be huge in the short run. But when does Belichick ever think like that? He doesn't. No. So Belichick thought this was a good time and a good place to cut ties. He's going to move on without flinching, without batting an eye. You think Brady's special? Belichick thinks he's a player. That's all. He's the coach. He's a player, and he's ready to move on. Why did people think Belichick was going to get emotional? It just, to me, it made no sense.
He's never done it before.
Never done it.
Well, I stepped out of here for a second. You guys did you see the Bob Kraft quote yet?
No.
Okay, so Bob Kraft to ESPN. Tommy initiated contact last night and came over. We had a positive, respectful discussion. It's not the way I want it to end, but I want him to do what's in the best personal interest. After 20 years with us, he has earned that right. I love him like a son. So what you expect?
See, exactly what you'd expect Kraft to say. He will say that for the rest of his life.
Was Bill there?
No,
Bill was not there.
I'll predict it'll be a very annoying, frustrating day when Belichick talks, probably draft time or maybe, and he doesn't say crap about Brady. Just says,
I wonder if he gets out ahead of it and they tell him to make an announcement. What if Belichick goes on Snapface and makes an announcement?
He doesn't get told to do anything. He does what he wants, and I could see him, dismissing it and saying we're moving on. There's going to be someone else. You don't think Stidham's the starting quarterback, do you?
No.
So there's going to be someone else. That day, Belichick will say how excited he is to have Bridgewater or whoever. He will not, wax, emotionally about Tom Brady or any
I think
player.
He might. I think he might.
He will someday.
He'll make a couple.
He'll say, it was great. We're moving on. It'll be typical Belichick.
Yeah. Do you really suspect him to do anything else?
Here's what Jeff Darlington, who's been all over this to an extent, constantly writing, talking about this. He says 4 factors to consider when thinking about Brady's next spot: a collaborative coach, a well-built roster, even if not perceived as a clear Super Bowl favorite, good weather, and favorable proximity to New York City for personal reasons.
Everything's favorable to New York City. It's the one hub that you can fly into from anywhere.
Favorable to New York City. I guess that's because of his wife.
But don't use any of those reasons to cross any other teams off the list.
Right.
That's his last line of that.
Yeah. We'll talk about casting a wide net.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Talk about so all 31 teams are in the moment.
That might be worse than a Dave Coney tweet. To be honest with you, that might be.
That's thanks for the brain buster.
Tom
Curran
says Tom Curran's source. Ben Boland's source says, quote, they gave Tom Brady a number. He didn't want it. No shit. We told you that all along. He didn't want to be here. He was never coming back here. It was never on his short list. He was moving on. All he needed was, 1 or 2 other teams, and he got it. They're there. He's moving on, and he's, buying a house somewhere else, and he's wearing a different uniform. And how weird is that going to look in a Bucs uniform? That's an ugly uniform. Well, let
me ask you guys this.
To say the least.
What percentage would you put it at that it's possibly that he's just going to retire?
Zero. What indication is there?
I'm just saying the actual statement that he put out
I thought, as you read through the statement, I thought that there was a possibility, but the fact that he went in and spoke with Bob Kraft, and Bob Kraft put out those comments leads you to believe that obviously Bob Kraft knows where he's going. So he knows that he's playing. So I think that's kind of what. So the decision has been made, and we're just waiting. Is probably till midnight. How many people are going to be sitting up at their computers tonight and looking to see that deal go across at 12:01? Because it's going to be a lot.
Why would he retire? I don't understand that for the life of me. Why?
Well, the statement, if you kind of want to go through it, it does kind of give the indication that, he's definitely, I don't want to say thinking about it, but it's very, introspective on certain things, and it sounds like he's moving on, but you can read into it where it will say that it's, maybe it's a possibility. So
walking away, none, zero. If he walks away, I will. I'll lick a toilet seat. All right, it's never going to happen.
Oh boy,
there we go.
Oh boy,
it's like the guy. Did you see the guy that did the viral video where he licks the ice cream and puts it back? When they were doing that, people were going to stores. He went to prison.
Yeah,
he went to jail for a month or something. Why do you think if you're doing it on camera and putting it online or putting it on social? Why do you think you get away with it?
Jerry, we're going back to this thought again.
The girl who licked the toilet seat.
People are fucking stupid.
That's your theme. That is our theme today on the Callahan podcast. People are idiots. The people on the beach are idiots. The people at Kid Rock's bar are idiots. The people licking the toilet seat. And the people who thought Brady was coming back to play for the New England Patriots are friggin' idiots. He was never coming back. He's leaving on good terms. He's wishing everybody well. Everyone's wishing him well. Maybe, maybe his father wasn't right. He said it would end badly. Do you feel like it's ended badly in New England?
No, it doesn't feel bad right now.
I don't think it's there's fans that are definitely.
But why is
if
it
they could be outside, they'd be hanging themselves outside. There's going to be a lot of people because they're sad. They don't want them to go.
But sad is one thing. Badly means contentiously means he and Belichick are fighting.
Well, there definitely are.
But we don't see it. You don't hear it.
Yeah, I think they have been for 3 years.
I think it ended as cordially as possible. I hate to say it because that's not good for business. We prefer fights. We prefer a guy take a flamethrower to the place on his way out the door. But it's, not happening. It's amazing. In the span of, a month, Mookie Betts, an MVP, walks away for nothing, just leaves because he doesn't like it here. Brady... and David Price goes to L.A. and says how much better it is than Boston, and Brady's going to go to like Tampa Bay or Indianapolis, and you're going to say, wait, what's he doing? This is New England. Where are you going? And he's going to.
No one wants to come here. Is there
Loserville.
People are starting to get a complex about.
Well, thankfully, right across the street, we're going to have a Stanley Cup winner, and at some point, it's going to come back.
Sorry, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is the NFL. Brady was the greatest player ever in the greatest league ever. He was the best winner ever in the league that dominates the sports landscape. You know that. Brady would clip his toenails, and it'd be a bigger story than anything the Bruins, Celtics, or Patriots or Red Sox did. Biggest story in sports if Brady does or says anything. Believe me, I rode the wave.
For how long?
I rode the wave for 18, 19 years. Brady on Mondays was huge. It used to be bigger than it was more recently after Deflategate. He got shy. He got gun shy. He didn't want to talk about anything.
You're burned.
He didn't like that. He didn't like the way he was treated, not by us, but by the world. And then Trump came along, and he got nervous about that. He didn't want to talk about
That's the problem. You lose that person. You lose your personality, and you lose that. What was your favorite? It's tough to say this because for how many years you've done it, and how many weeks and times that you've talked to him. What is the one moment that you had with him that you remember that just stuck out? And it doesn't necessarily need to be a football moment, but one of those moments where you kind of sat back, and maybe even after the interview, you're like, "Wow." He's a good guy. He's a great quarterback nonetheless, but that's a moment I'm going to remember from Tom Brady.
There's a few.
Okay.
He was a decent guy. I'll say this. I don't know how much I can reveal, but when he
So now everyone's protecting their sources today. My sources being
things were
holding
off.
a carrot in front of me and not giving it to me. It's very frustrating.
I didn't really know him, personally. I obviously talked to him a bunch of times off the air, like at Super Bowls, would see him, and he couldn't have been nicer. We'd see him the week of the Super Bowl because we would travel to wherever the team was, and whether it was John Dennis or Kirk, we would sit with him.
Who did he hate more, John or Kirk?
Oh, he hated Kirk more. There's no question. Yeah, because Kirk's, he would.
He's an agitator.
He's an agitator, and he'd ask about Trump and Floyd Mayweather and whatever.
I remember that one.
But before all that happened, he was much more relaxed and outgoing and candid. Like I said, before Deflategate, before Trump. But I remember writing a column when he split up with Bridget Moynihan.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
and he split up and moved on, and then she was pregnant. And he got vilified by some people. It was not a big deal, but it was like he dumped his pregnant girlfriend, and he didn't. They broke up before he knew she was pregnant, and I talked to enough people to believe that. You can call me whatever, but I believe that. So I wrote a column.
Mike Girardi saying Tampa Bay.
Defending him. Okay, I'm telling his story.
Let him tell the story, idiot.
Jesus. Sorry. And he reached out to me, emailed me, and just thanked me and said that, it was true. He didn't know she was pregnant when they broke up. Of course he didn't know. It was months later that it became public. But I didn't think anything of it. It was just how I felt. But he reached out then. And there were a couple other times where he reached out off the record or off the air that were revealing to me. And he was a good guy. He did his share of things that nobody knew or nobody saw for people,
right?
Kids.
The behind the scenes things that matter. Those are the things that matter when no one's watching, right? When no one's watching,
we obviously know about, people at the Jimmy Fund. We see athletes there, but he did some of that, behind the scenes.
Right, because people always want to vilify that, like with the best buddies and all that. They always want to find the bad.
It seems easy. Trust me, they don't all do it. I've talked many times about Manny Ramirez and what a piece of garbage he is. He would not do it. I mean, you'd ask him to call a kid or meet a kid, he wouldn't do it.
Right.
He'd just say, can't be bothered. And there are other athletes who just can't be bothered. Brady, despite having a lot on his plate and a lot of demands, would find the time. I think a good...
And that matters the most to you. And that's why you like. That's why, Jerry, you're not upset that he's moving, because you want what's best for him, because you realize that he's most of all he's a great quarterback, but he's a really good person, and you just want to see good people be happy, and they deserve that, right?
That's why.
And I think so. I think that you're able to look at that, and when you're able to get that inside kind of knowledge of them, and you get when the lights aren't on, you learn a lot about people and how they treat people when the lights aren't on, and the things that they do. Those are the things that matter, because at some point in your life, the lights will be off, and the person that's there is the one that's left to stand, and you find that good people tend to show their way and their true colors in that sense. And I think that's good, that those are the moments that you have. Like, sure, the Super Bowls are the things that the winning, the average fan loves and supports. But the moments that you have for a guy who could have done the opposite and did what Manny did, the fact that he didn't do that,
right,
I think makes you a fan. Makes you more of a fan as Tom Brady the person, and not Tom Brady the quarterback.
You will hear more about that, but he was good, and he was, and there'll never be anyone close to him. 9 Super Bowls in whatever it is, 19 seasons.
Yeah,
almost half the time he went to the Super Bowl. Do I have that right?
Unparalleled.
Almost half.
And now the market's selling off because Tom Brady's leaving.
12 AFC championship games?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
That's amazing. 12 conference championship games in how many years? 19?
Yep.
There'll never be a guy like that. That's with 32 teams. I know you're going to get the usual suspects saying Bill Russell won 11 out of 13. When Bill Russell won his first title, there were 7 teams in the league, I believe. 7. The rules were different. They kept the talent all together. They were dominant. He was great. But what Brady did is much, much more impressive. It's not even close. 32 teams in a league designed for parity.
Right.
And he went to 12 title.
And I think a big view into the inside of Tom Brady is that, from talking to him, is that he's the ultimate guy that cared about winning more than anything else. Whatever it took to win, he wanted to do it. He didn't care about records, and he didn't care about notoriety, and he didn't care about that stuff. He was, and the telling line of what's his favorite Super Bowl, the next one, like that is just tells you the insight into him as a person, and to get the most out of his teammates, and the money that he sacrificed maybe up front that he eventually gets back, but the fact that he was willing to put all that aside because he wanted to win, and the fact that he was able to be coached so hard for so long after all this success says a lot about what he is, and he just wants to win.
I'm looking at his numbers now. He played 41 playoff games. I was wrong. He's played 27 playoff games since Tampa Bay has last been in the playoffs. He's played 41 total, 30-11 in the postseason. That is remarkable. 30-11. He's won 30 postseason games. 30. One guy in a league where, the Patriots, I believe, before Brady came along, they won 12 games. You know how many times? 12 games in a season before Brady came along? I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is 0. 0. Brady won, here's just a quick sample, 14, 14, 12, 16, 14, 13, 12, 12, 12, 13, 12. That's amazing. In their 40 years before Brady came along, they won 12 games 0 times. They won 1 home playoff game, I believe. Brady won 30-11 in the playoffs. As this develops throughout the day, you're going to see a bunch of stats like this that are just, they publish them during the runs when they're in the playoffs and doing everything. But now that you are able to compile this as a whole over 20 years, it's just going to be something that's just mind-boggling. As you pour these numbers together, the records, the touchdowns, the Super Bowls, the playoff appearances, the AFC East championships, like this stuff is just the magnitude of something that is just, it's really tough to get your arms around. He won 12 games 12 times. 12 times. 14 Pro Bowls. You're right. You're going to see it all day today.
It's just not even going to be able to make sense.
I say the least we can do, right? What time's it right now? It's 9:30. Go get your Tom Brady Patriots jersey. Go put it on, and everyone meet me right outside the Patriots Hall of Fame at Gillette Stadium. Screw the coronavirus. Nope. Let's all hug. Let's hold hands. Screw it all. Let's all just hang out together.
What a wild time to be alive. The world is ending, and Brady's leaving. And
what would it be today without the coronavirus? Like, literally, do you think thousands of fans would be at Gillette?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, right? It would be.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I think
the parade would be littered with Brady jerseys.
Once you sleep on it, and once you think about it, and once someone else is in the fold, you're going to say, you still have the best coach, and Brady's
What's
still
that gonna look
almost
like?
43.
The poor bastard that has to take that snap. That first meaningful snap is just, you just got to feel for that. There's just, you're replacing a legend. And as everyone says, replacing a legend is impossible.
Andy Dalton.
Do you think
Andy fucking Dalton.
Do you think next year, Brady's going to be good somewhere else? Yeah. Going to be like Pro
good
Bowl,
or great?
Pro Bowl.
What's the difference?
Pro Bowl. Will he make the Pro Bowl?
Pro Bowl's
next
a
year?
bullshit stat.
He won 14. He went to 14 Pro Bowl. Was named to 14.
Yeah, I know, but Pro Bowls are a popularity contest.
Okay, what standard do you want to give?
Well,
10
all pro.
wins.
All pro. All pro is the standard because that's
not going to make
voted.
the All Pro team. He's not. He's got no chance. There's no 43-year-old who's going to make the All Pro team. It's not going to happen. You think he'll have a QB rating over 100? Do you think he'll throw 30 touchdown passes? Do you think he'll throw 4,000 yards?
Okay, so I'm going to answer all these from
no.
how you did them. I will say he will have a rating over 90. He will have 30 touchdown passes, and he will throw for less than 4,000 yards.
Okay, will he play 16 games?
Yes.
I say no. Unfortunately, as someone, we were watching the coronavirus updates this morning, and someone said, Mother Nature is undefeated. And
that's true.
So is Father Time. We've heard that. You think he's going to be good at age 43. What about at age 44?
Well, he's probably going to be 2 years. So I imagine
you're
going to see some slip. But I also think that, and as I mentioned it, is that a big part of this is him realizing that the end is very close. If it's not 1 year, it's 2 at the most. And he wants to surround himself, I think, in the best situation that he feels is best. And he knows that he needs more than he's needed in the past based on the limitations.
All right. This wild day, wild St. Patrick's Day.
Can we at least give one guess as to the surprise team that you think it may be?
I've been saying Tampa Bay for 2 months.
I know you've been saying Tampa Bay, but
2
I'm
months.
saying like someone that no
you
one's
say
talked
it.
about.
You're the QB guru. I want credit. I want all the credit in the world if he goes to Tampa Bay.
Are you talking surprise team outside of your Cowboys prediction?
Yeah.
Oh, who do you got?
No, I don't. I'm just thinking of there's always someone that says there's always a surprise team, right? There's always that. And Jerry, you've done this a long time. You know that there's always like no one was talking about this team, and then he just comes into it. And
I'm sticking with the Bucs because I've said it for 2 months. My source is. It's a good source. I think it's Tampa. It's going to be weird. It's going to be an ugly match, man. Brady with the Tampa Bay uniform, Tampa Bay helmet, the dumb battle pirate ship and all that. And it's too bad he's in the NFC, but.
All right, I'm sticking with the Cowboys, but I'm gonna throw out like the surprise one, which was mentioned earlier, and although the money could be an issue, but who knows? Maybe it's the Rams.
Okay, the Rams. They get Jared Goff.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box.
Go ahead. Say Chargers.
I guess. Yeah. Chargers. Yeah. I can't.
But Jeff Darlington says it has to be close to New York City.
Yeah.
No, he just has to be able to get to New York City.
No, but we don't have to use any of those. We don't have to use any of those reasons.
But you can get to New York City from anywhere.
That's true.
All right, we got to go. Cullinane's got to get this posted, man. This is breaking news. Brady's gone. It's St. Patrick's Day.
Hell's
all the
frozen
bars
over.
Evacuation
There's
day.
nothing to do.
Insanity.
No one can go out
There's
and drink.
nobody out. Everybody's home.
Everyone's going to be in their house
here.
drunk today.
That's why we're here. That's why we're. Hopefully, you're listening and you're telling your friends and you're subscribing to the Callahan podcast. Thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving, and thanks to the Legacy Club and everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Tom Brady for 2 decades of greatness,
football bliss,
of joy. Thank you, TB12. We'll see you in Tampa, and we'll see somebody else in New England. What a wild freaking day. Say it one more time for me, Mute. People are friggin' idiots.
People are fucking stupid. Watch out for Doug.
Watch out for Doug. Thanks for listening. We'll do this again tomorrow, and maybe we'll tell you where Tom Brady's playing next year.